What's up, guys? D-Rock1992 here. For this next video, I'm going to be talking about a very popular movie that's considered one of the greatest of all time. And this movie is called The Shawshank Redemption. It was created in 1994, and the two big stars of this film are Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman. Now, Tim Robbins plays a guy named Andy Dufresne, who is convicted of two murders. The murder of his wife and his wife's lover, and gets sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences at the fictional Shawshank prison. So he goes to this prison, and eventually, about a month later into the prison term, he befriends a man named Red, who also is in Shawshank for murder, and it has life sentence as well. And this guy's played by Morgan Freeman. Now, if I could have anybody narrate my life, narrate a speech, deliver a speech, all that kind of stuff, I'd pick Morgan Freeman. Every film I've seen that has him in it, there's a few, he's been great in. I've liked his performances. So, he befriends Red. He comes into contact with the Warden, played by a guy named James Gunton. This Warden, at first in this film, looks like a fair, decent man. He's not going to take crap from any of the prisoners, but he'll give the prisoners a chance, and he's a Bible lover. He believes that the Bible is good salvation for a lot of these prisoners. As you see throughout the film, however, this guy's corrupt, he's sadistic, he's an asshole, basically. He's a guy who will run the prison his own way, no matter what he has to do. Corruption, murder. He murders a prisoner in this movie. But this really talks about the prison life and the consequences that come with being a prisoner, the good times, and overall, through it all, Dufresne has a lot of hope. He has hope that eventually his name is going to be cleared and he'll get out of Shawshank prison. The pivotal moment of this film comes when one prisoner who got 2 to 3 years for robbery and all that, a smaller sentence than Andy Dufresne and Red. He comes in. Andy Dufresne tutors him he helps him get his high school diploma and all that kind of stuff. Then this prisoner opens up and talks about this other prisoner in a different prison that he was in before, that boasted about 2 murders he made, a wife and a wife's lover. And he said they pinned the murder on a banker. Now, Andy Dufresne takes this information, he goes to the Warden, but the Warden won't listen. The Warden likes Andy Dufresne carrying out his corrupt operations of money laundering and things like that. So, and then the murder that I mentioned that the Warden made, delivered out, he kills the guy who revealed the secret, what the other prisoners said about the murder in question. So he kills him, and that way nothing gets tied back. Nothing is possible for Andy Dufresne to proclaim his innocence or anything like that. The guy can't testify because obviously he died. So it looks like there's really no hope. This looks like that it really shakes him. And the prisoners are worried about him because the prisoners who are his friends are worried about him because he looks like he's going to kill himself. He looks like that there is no, it seems like that the guy's given up hope, that he thinks he's never going to get out of there. So, but then, one morning, the guards, the guards and the warden usually make roll call. Everybody has to come out of their cells and present themselves, make sure that nobody's missing or anything like that. So they go into Andy Dufresne's cell. They don't see Andy Dufresne come out of his cell. So they go in, and he's gone. Poof, he disappeared. The warden is very mad, and eventually he throws a rock out of frustration at a poster of a hot girl that Andy Dufresne has on his wall. It doesn't, it goes right through the wall. He rips up the poster, the warden does, and he sees a really large hole that Andy Dufresne clearly got out of to escape. So they look for him. Then they look for him, and they try to find him and bring him right back. But after the moment that they discovered the hole that he used to escape out of, they kind of flash back a little bit in this film, which I loved, and kind of highlighted how he escaped. There was a large piece of rope that he used to escape. The big thing was a little jackhammer that he got from Red at the beginning of the film. Red's like, what are you going to use this little jackhammer for, basically? Eventually, piece by piece, little by little, 20 years into his sentence, he makes a hole big enough with that jackhammer to escape. So he does. And there's a pretty disgusting way in which he totally escapes from the prison. I won't spoil it, but he escapes, and before he escapes, he talks to Red about this place in Mexico, where he looks to reestablish his roots there and create an occupation and make a living for himself. He says, or he talks about that, and he talks about a package, a little box, that he buried underneath a pile of hay in Michigan, I think it was. Buxton was the town, actually. And he says, if you get out, you go to that box, you uncover that box, and you wait. You see what's going on. So once it's established that Andy Dufresne escapes from prison, he carries out a couple of things that exposes the corruption and the murder at Shawshank prison. The police come to capture the head of the guards and the warden, and there's chaos, definitely. I'm going to say that. Centered around the warden. I'm not going to spoil it for those of you who haven't watched it, but there's definitely some drama in that scene. Red eventually gets out of prison. He makes this heartfelt speech. He basically doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit. They let him go anyway. They parole him. He finds it hard to adjust to life outside of prison, because earlier in the film there was this elderly man who spent 50 years in prison, got out, but just could not adjust to the life outside. Red almost does that, but he realizes he made a promise to Andy to go get the box that was buried underneath that hay in Buxton, the town called Buxton. He goes, he sees what's in it. One of the things he sees is a letter from Andy telling him to come down to that town in Mexico. I can't think of the name of the town, but goes down to the town and sees Andy. They reunite, and boom, boom, that's the end of the movie. A great moment. So overall, the review of this film, it was a really good film throughout. I mean, it really made the life lesson. In this movie, there was a life lesson of there's hope, no matter what. No matter what the situation, puts out there, there is hope. There is hope for a lot of the innocent people that are in prison because of crimes they didn't commit. There's hope, and there's always a way to live. Living is better than dying, basically, is the common theme in this movie. I love. There are particular scenes that I loved, especially the ending scene where Andy and Red reunite. Some funny scenes, like the time Andy locked his prison guard in the bathroom and plays this tune over the intercom that I'm not sure what the tune is, but it just gives a sense of hope. It gives a sense of meaning to these prisoners. It shakes up the routine, definitely, because there's a very routine-based system in the prison. So it definitely does that. There are a few other scenes in particular that were hard to watch, almost. The beginning scene where the captain of the guards and a few other guards beat up a fat man who is crying and, I don't belong here and stuff like that. That was hard to watch. But this was a very heartfelt movie throughout. I loved watching it. I was hooked pretty much the moment I saw it. Pretty much when he went into prison was the moment I was definitely hooked. Now the review. I give it a perfect 5 out of 5 stars. I found no issues with this movie whatsoever. The lesson was great. Morgan Freeman provided a unbelievable performance, one of the best of his career. Tim Robbins, a great performance. I liked the portrayal of the Warden. I liked pretty much all the characters in this movie. So it gets a 5 out of 5 for me. And that will be it for the review. D-Rock 1992 out.